Want more stories in your life without adding to your TBR? That's where Audible comes in. I use it for the original novellas, the Plus catalog like Deanna Rayburn's Veronica Speedwell series, and those audiobook sales that you can beat. Right now, Audible has a special offer for new and returning members. Click the link in the show notes to see what deal you'll get and start listening today. Welcome to the What's Your Next podcast. This is Laura. I am so excited to be back. And today I have a Gone Girl read alike, a propulsive thriller that once you start reading, you cannot stop. And the book is The Lies You Wear by Elle Marr. This book is available on Kindle Limited as a read and listen. It is awesome if you're doing tandem reading, if you want to just get yourself in ears and you listen to the car. And then also pick it up at night if you want to read it in Kindle. This book is for you. The Lies We Wear is a thriller, a mother-daughter relationship, a cat and mouse game. We're trying to figure out what happened in the past and how the past secrets are catching up with the actual present moment. In addition to talking about The Lies She Wears, Elle shares her experience reading The Sunrise and the Reaping by Suzanne Collins. If you're curious about this book and you want to hear, maybe is this a book that you should pick it up? Does it under-deliver? Does it over-deliver? Is it just the right book to pick up? If you're a Hunger Games fan, this episode will give you some answers. So enjoy this episode. Hi, Elle. Welcome to the Retro Next podcast.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So excited to have you here. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yes, I am a thriller author. My 7th book, The Lies She Wears, is coming out in just a short amount of time, actually. And I love reading. I'm a reader at heart and always hoped that one day I could muster up the courage to finish a book. And here I am now, 7 published books later. It's wild. It's a wild feeling.
Yeah. So talk to us about, were you a domestic suspension or a thriller reader? Or was it something, because thrillers are an interesting dynamic because you had to build twists and turns and conflict and plotting and then motivations and red herrings. So it's a more complex book to write than probably a straightforward experimental thing. So talk to us about your experience. Were you reading the genre beforehand and then decide to dabble into it, or were you trying writing in other genres and then it's you know what, this might be a better fit for me right now?
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't know if anyone's ever actually asked me that before. I did not start out writing thrillers. I began writing what I thought was romantic suspense.
Yeah.
And then I realized that the suspense was the part I liked the best of it.
Yeah.
So I cut out the majority of the romance way back when I first started writing over a decade ago. But I began reading just voraciously as a kid, as a 9 or 10-year-old. I read everything you possibly could, but that also included Goosebumps. That included some early Stephen King, which I had no business reading as a child.
Yeah.
But what got me into writing thrillers was really reading, of course, Gillian Flynn's Gone Girl. I think a ton of writers and readers who discovered the genre at that point. That's what got me into writing it, because I read that and was like, wow, I just want to eat up every page. I want to eat up every page of this book. And I want to write something as propulsive as that genre. And as I dove more into reading books of that kind, I realized that every page really held that same kind of allure for me. And I wanted to create that myself.
Yeah. So talk to writing a propulsive, a way that keeps grabbing the reader, whether it's having cliffhangers, whether it's having red herrings, how do you construct this book? Because sometimes people are pantsers and they just let the book follow, and other people are clutters. Or you may, in the editing stage, you may have to move things around and do it. It's like a construction. It's not this straightforward story stuff, like a love story, like a romance. We have beats, but it's pretty straightforward. This is a little bit more complex.
Yes. And I think every published novel really has a certain level of complexity. Certainly there are certain genres that are a little more structured, and I don't want to say formulaic, but readers, cozies, readers come to the table expecting certain elements to happen at certain points.
Yeah.
And that's great. That's why it's called a cozy. It's comforting. It's known kind of in a certain way. And for me, writing thrillers, to your point, it's a balance of writing something that does have, each chapter has its cliffhanger that, in my mind, forces the reader to turn the page and discover what happens in the next chapter. But also it has to be surprising and unexpected, which can be hard to do for me. A lot of the magic happens in editing. I will say that with my professional editing team. And I'm always driven by the question of, am I bored?
Yeah.
Does this bore me? Because I know for sure the reader will be bored if that's the case. So if I know something intriguing me, I'll rip it apart. I'm very ruthless with my own writing. It's a challenge. Writing
Yeah.
is hard.
Writing is hard. I think it's like it's hard, and it's like you have to think about the reader, but you also have to think about what you enjoy and what parts of you are capturing the attention. Especially, you want to be surprised. Like there's an element. The twist is not for the sake of twist. It's elements of surprise. It's like something's gonna happen. Just like Gone Girl was a surprise of the midpoint where we hear Amy's story, and then we're like, oh, like hold on, what story we're like following? That element of surprise that we're going for. And then, but
Right. Or
also,
Parasite, as the not a book, of course, but Parasite, the movie. I don't know if you saw that, but that was the same level of like awakening for me. I know it was much more recent. It was 2021, I think, but
yeah,
like the same level of just complete mind blowing artistic aha epiphany, much like Gone Girl for me, to your point of like the middle point where Amy is revealed. Uh, Parasite, where I was like, this is not the movie I thought it was.
no, no. And I think that's like the gift for you as an author is like you get to mind blow like your audience and like, what am I reading? What is
I
going on?
love that. This book, The Lie She Wears, has a moment like that, which I'm very proud of. I'm happy about that.
Yeah. So let's start
Glad
with
it worked out.
the lie she wears because actually like the setup is really interesting. It captures your attention. We get character dies. This is the first chapter. We mourn it's a mother-daughter relationship. It's a strained mother-daughter relationship that we just see this going on. And then we get a mysterious letter from the mother after she dies, and it tells you I kill someone. It's in the synopsis. So this is not like anything. This is a great setup for like not
Thank
like
you.
character relationship. This is like you got the mother and daughter and you got the strained relationship. Like you got the grief aspect, but you have someone who was not the best mother that the
Mm-mm,
character needed. And then we have
mm-mm.
the secret of a death. It's like, so it's like, you're like, wait, do I know this person? Do I understand? And I was present because letters, like you were in the space, the vicinity. So it's block memories is like you're working with that and also cognitive decline, like
Yeah.
a museum.
There's Yeah, it is a lot in at the outset as the foundation of this story. It's to give like a quick premise, I guess, to summarize everything that you just said. My main character is a museum curator, and she receives a letter from her mother, her recently deceased mother, confessing to murder. And so she's completely caught off guard, feels like she's discovered her mother's darkest secret, but then more letters surface
Yeah.
and new victims appear. And suddenly, Pearl, my main character, feels like she's caught in this deadly game of cat and mouse. She doesn't really know
Yeah.
where the threat is coming from, but she knows that someone seems to be following in her mother's footsteps. A confession is real, and they feel like they're getting. It feels like they're getting closer to her.
Yeah.
And so there's this. I tried to create this really constant level of tension and claustrophobia a little bit,
Yeah.
which plays into her role as a museum curator of Asian masks.
Yeah.
Masks, of course, being something that covers faces, that conceals our identities, a full face covering. And in the case of artistic masks, they can be somewhat scary. They can take on scary forms for cultural purposes from hundreds of years ago or even present day. So there were a lot of layers that I used to kind of begin the story, each of which I was like, oh, I want to explore that. Oh, I want to explore that. Oh, can I add this in? I think it worked. It dovetails nicely.
Yeah.
I really kind of wrote this story for myself,
Yes.
for
Which is
myself first.
perfect. Which is perfect because as a reader, I'm like, no, I can see you enjoy writing the story, which is it's sometimes some books are hard to write, and I understand that, but some books are like enjoyable, and the author is like having fun doing it, and you can feel it as a reader. It's just like food, like when the food is made with love, and the food is not made with love.
100%. Yeah.
But I made it really propulsive, like the setup. It was like, where does this going, and what is happening? And it's like the perfect like vacation read. Like you just like go for a vacation, just like sit still, read it, just enjoy the
Love it.
the
Thank you.
ride. And I think this book will be available on Kindle Unlimited as a read and listen, which is perfect. If you're an audiobook listener, you can actually borrow and get the audiobook too, and you can do tandem reading, which is exciting for accessibility. So, all
That's right.
right, so let's talk about some book recommendations. What type of books do you tend to read? Do you read domestic suspense, or do you read other genres? I know you have some book recommendations to share with us.
Yes, I read widely. I think you have to as a writer, and then
Yeah.
just my tastes have always been super eclectic. Uh, I I recently I got into Fourth Wing, like millions of
Yeah.
other readers, and then that led me down to finally A Court of Thorns and Roses, which I had never touched before, and always read super widely. I think I actually started reading fantasy as a kid, and that led me elsewhere. But so I got into a big fantasy kick recently,
Yeah.
and then I went back to reading some more recent thrillers that have come out. Not What She Seems by Yasmine Ango came out last year, and that was fantastic. I loved that book. I loved Ango's writing style, and her characters are so rich. That story set in South Carolina, where there's a mystery of our grandfather, the main character's grandfather, is killed, and that's very early on, not a spoiler. But then she must fight her own proverbial demons to uncover the truth behind that death, and it's a really great small town thriller. And then another book I read recently, a book that I'm currently reading, is The Lies You Wrote by Brianna Labuskes, which is about a forensic linguist, which is just a fantastic premise for me. I don't write police procedurals because I'm too intimidated
Yeah.
by all the detail. I have
Yeah.
not done like a Citizens Academy day at the police department.
Yeah.
I should, but I haven't done that yet. And so I don't have that breadth of knowledge to do police
Yeah.
procedural. So I love reading other people's work that does. And yeah, The Lies You Wrote is really interesting so far. I love the idea of taking writing samples and having a forensic specialist just decipher it and
Yeah.
reveal all of these different layers to that piece of writing. Yeah, I'm all about every kind of book. If it's read and
Yeah.
published, I never do not finish. I always read to the end. I'm like, I'm sure the author's going someplace. I might not like where he get, but I always follow that journey to the end.
Also, but
Mhm.
so you actually read The Sunrise of the Reaping. Tell us about it. Because actually,
Yes, Learning and
that's a book
Weeping.
that has not been mentioned. And I'm surprised because it's such a big book that came out
Mhm.
this year and it's a big series. I actually read The Hunger Games. It was a
Yeah.
formative time of the dystopian era.
Mhm.
So talk to us about the experience. Like I know it's a sad book. It's not, we know the MD from the beginning.
Mhm.
Talk to us about your reading experience with it.
Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins was a great read for me. I was a huge fan of the Hunger Games trilogy when it first came out, the original books. And to your point, it was a formative time for me. I was in college or newly out of college, and one of my roommates was like, "I just found this at the airport. You should read it." And I did. I just completely like sat still for 3 days and just demolished every page. And so I was not expecting that same kind of experience, but I was excited to re-enter that world and that dystopian framework where the Hunger Games are even a possibility. And of course, during Sunrise on the Reaping, that's Haymitch's story. Um, and so the Hunger Games have been going on for a good few years at that point. I didn't read the prequel before that.
I think it's 25. I think that's like the turnaround, the
25 years. Yeah.
25 or 50. It's something like it's intent, like a quarter kind of deal. Quarter quell. I think quarter
Yeah.
quell.
Quarter Quell. Yeah.
25.
Yeah. Yeah. It was really interesting to have that world be established, but still kind of have everyone maintain a memory of the before time during the quote
Yeah.
havoc that occurred that required the authoritarian regime to rein everything in so tightly in a way that was really negative and violent, destructive. And so being in Haymitch's world and discovering him as a young buck, innocent 16-year-old kid before the drinking problems was really fascinating. And it brought me a greater appreciation for prequels. I love the character work, the dissection of how he became who he was in the first Hunger Games story when we meet him. It was so heartbreaking. He shouldn't have been so heartbreaking, but everyone knows that's going to be sad. I kind of forgot, not that I forgot he had like a major drinking problem, but I forgot I wasn't using my like critical thinking skills. I was just recalling that he was an alcoholic and kind of apathetic, which I think anyone would be when tasked as a mentor ushering in the next flock of tributes. Anticipate the depth of his pain, and it was done in such a way that was so compelling and revelatory to his what becomes his character in the end. it was so well done, ushering us along that journey with him that I forgot how sad the ending would naturally be. And the ending wasn't so devastating that it would put me off from reading it again. I would read it again.
Yeah.
I would read it again. I don't reread a lot of books, but I would read it again just because the detail was so fun. And seeing the different characters that we first met in the Hunger Games trilogy, seeing their beginnings, like we also see Effie Trinket, was really fun. So I would definitely read it again. I thought it was great. Recommended.
Oh my gosh. Thank you for sharing, because I think listeners may be interested and maybe scared to read it, or some listeners who are like, is it going to be sad, or is it going to be something that's it's not going to over deliver? It's not going to deliver what you're looking for. So I'm glad that this one actually did. And I'm glad that this is like a continuation of the world. And it was a merit actually having the prequel. So yeah.
I actually, on that note, I actually really enjoyed it because I was worried it would become the story and the tone would change to match the hype that came to the Hunger Games trilogy and came to
Yeah.
Suzanne Collins' world. That it's just become this massive idea. And I thought that Sunrise on the Reaping would also kind of be disproportionate to the original tone of the stories. And
Yeah.
it wasn't, it kept it. It was really like on the same frequency, which I appreciated. It reminded me how the stories were so simple, but also so deep and profound. And that's to my mind, good young adult writing.
Yes.
Like it's not getting so explicit because TikTok has made everybody explicit, and whether you're 13 or 17 or 77, but like is actually written appropriate to the genre or the age group, which I appreciated. I was impressed that she didn't kind of waver from that.
I'm kind of glad. So now I'm like, okay, I really need to pick this one out. Like, I actually, you're selling me the book, which is the point of this show, is to tell you
Good,
what
I'm
I need to
glad.
read. Tell me what I need to
Yeah,
read. Yeah.
I love talking books.
So awesome. Elle, tell us where to find you online.
Oh, on all the social platforms, I'm mostly on Instagram, Threads, TikTok, and Facebook. And I am also have my website at elmar.com. And I'm always around. Send me a comment, like, or DM.
Awesome. Thank you, Elle, for being in the show.
Thank you for having me. It was great talking books.
Thanks for listening to the What to Read Next. For more book lists, cozy reads, and library tips, visit the whattoreadnextblog.com. Your next great read might be waiting there. Are you an author, publisher, or book-related business looking to reach passionate readers? What to Read Next podcast is a perfect place to connect with an engaged audience of romance and mystery lovers who are always on the hunt for their next great read. Now, we're offering sponsorship opportunities. Whether you're launching a new book, promoting an upcoming release, showcasing a bookish product or services, we can help you get the word out. Let's work together to bring your books or businesses to readers who are ready to discover something new. Please visit whatchreadersblog.com/sponsorships to learn more, or reach out to chat about the perfect sponsorship or package for you. Thank you much for listening. Your next great reader is waiting for you.